Ubuntu?
That depends on what Ubuntu means.
So Ubuntu means a quality that includes the essential human virtues, compassion and humanity.
Yes.
So if you say yes, then are you not compassionate to the black people who find this flag offensive?
No, I certainly am. That's why I don't display that flag and I discourage people from displaying it.
And you still have this tweet up.
But it's not in the spirit of Ubuntu to say, to regulate what people, how people express themselves.
But the judge in his ruling says it's an incitement. You know, it cannot be used because it can be seen as an incitement and, you know, to incite polarized feelings. And the judge talks about how this invokes certain emotion, you know, among other people.
Well,
so, and South Africa has a national flag, but that flag is in the Constitution, and the Constitution has the colors of this flag. Now, displaying this one, and you say that you believe in the values of Ubuntu.
Well, the spirit...
How are you then not seeing what this could incite?
The values of Ubuntu means that you shouldn't trample on other people's rights to express themselves if they express themselves in ways in which you disagree.
So for me,
so it's in the spirit of Ubuntu to say that we have a problem with this judgment, because this judgment says you are expressing yourselves in a way that is problematic to us or to me, and therefore you're not allowed to do it.
So then that means you don't wholly believe in Ubuntu then, because Ubuntu has the values of compassion as
if
well.
what you are saying if what you are saying is the definition of Ubuntu, then the state president is not acting within the spirit of Ubuntu if he refers to black people as our people. Or when people say white people are land thieves, that's not in the spirit of Ubuntu.
So how
either.
should he refer to black people according to you?
You should refer to black people as black people. If
And
you're the president of the country, you can't
Yeah.
refer to one race as our people.
You know, it's incorrigible stuff, eh? Incorrigible. You know, Desmond Tutu used to talk about a little word called magnanimity. And he was referring to how black people, after years of being treated as animals, after years of being tortured and killed and baton charged and tortured in prisons, they still reached out to white people, right, who benefited from privilege and racism and crime against humanity, and said, let's build a country together. That's what we call magnanimity. I don't think Ernest Roots can spell that word. I'm told he's doing a doctorate. I think he can't spell the word magnanimity. He can't pronounce the word Ubuntu. He's a rude chap. He's rude. He's rude to even begin to suggest that, you know, displaying this evil flag is actually part of Ubuntu. Shows just how incorrigible the guy is. And it's sad that there are people amongst us who are roaming around who are so incorrigible as to not appreciate what was avoided by the magnanimity of black people in particular after '94. In Germany, they had what they called Nuremberg trials, where rude people like this who oppressed people were thrown in front of the courts, dragged around and thrown in prison. Not in South Africa. In South Africa, we chose the route of truth and reconciliation. And it's sad when you reconciled with somebody who represented an enemy, for that person to in turn be rude to you and take that reconciliation and throw it in your face. When 55% of this country is still suffering the legacy of that same flag, that was called, ironically, the unity of South Africa. When it was unity amongst the oppressors, it's actually rude. I want Ernest Roots to go to the Equality Court and complain there. He's bloody rude. And if he represents anybody who thinks they are going to defy that court, I want to see what the Constitutional Court is going to say. That we should allow a situation where people do not understand the boundaries of what the reconciliation meant in 1994. When the leaders of the black majority of these people compromised so much to make sure that we don't have a bloodbath in this country. I remember in 1993, I was traveling in the UK, talking to students there in those days in various colleges in a place called Durham in the United Kingdom. The constant question that came from white students, there's hardly a black person in Durham. They look at you as if you are lost, even if you are walking in the streets there. They ask a constant question, is there going to be a bloodbath in South Africa? And it didn't help that while I was there on the BBC, they showed, it was one of those episodes within Qatar and the ANC in KZN, where there was a lot of blood shedding that just before the elections back in 1993. It was not a joke that South Africa was on the verge of a civil war that none of us would have recovered from. It's a joke to Roots, and for him, it's a PhD question mark. You can display the rudest item or symbol of oppression and think that is all right. It is part of Ubuntu. Behaving like you do not remember. I don't know how old Roots is, because behaving like a spoiled brat, a teenager. I don't know how old he is. I don't know how old he is, but if he's a doctorate student from a university, he should have read up on how evil apartheid was. It had the whole world stopping to say this is an evil against apartheid. Can he hang the symbol of Nazi in his garden and invite people from around the world and say, oh no, it's just academic, you know? Can he wave the picture of Hitler and maybe tag it on his car, at the back of his car, and drive around, and then people ask him, he says, no, I'm an academic, I'm just trying to find out from people how offended they can be by a Nazi symbol. You are rude. You are rude, you are bloody rude. And that's Roots. You truly are. Or maybe you can wear a sheet, you know, and poke 2 holes in it and walk around and say, you know, I want to understand whether people like the Klak Klak Klan, you know. I want to write it in my thesis. You are bloody rude, man. And then the courts are courts, man, are very liberal. They are busy entertaining him. Yeah, no, let's try to find out. Maybe it's not gratuitous. We always give things big words. Maybe it's not so gratuitous a display of whatever it is. Chris Hani was killed on his driveway by an Afrikaner sent by people who didn't want this democracy to thrive. I was in Cape Town on that afternoon of the 10th when students rampaged Adderley Street. If it was not of Mandela to stand and speak like a president who was still waiting to be elected, the likes of Roots would not be doing this nonsense. There will be no country over which you could do that. You are bloody rude, and you must stop with your nonsense. Our economy is suffering today, and we are all seemingly without a clue on what to do. It's a sad situation. It's a sad situation where even our ruling party, you know, is at 6s and 7s about what to do. I mean, if you look at the paper, and I'm not an economist, Zamika Amaseti will join me at the bottom of this hour to try and make me understand what on earth Tito was talking about. You would remember one of the big victories, at least of the working class, palace as it is, was the issue of the minimum wage. And it was born out of a business, people who, like NS Roots, are very rude when it comes to how they remunerate workers. They remunerate them like monkeys. If you just give them peanuts, So the law had to be passed that says, even in your rudest manner as an employer, you must pay somebody at least 3,500. 3,500, I don't know what it buys. Frankly, I don't know. I don't know what you can buy for 3,500. Maybe you can buy, I don't know what you can buy. Maybe you can buy a couple of packets of cigarettes for 2 or 3 days. and then maybe a bread and a pint of milk. I don't know what you can buy for 3,500 if you have to pay rent, you have to get onto a taxi, you have to feed your children, you got to buy clothes. I don't know what you can do with 3,500. So it was already an insult anyway to say that is a minimum wage. I know, but Tito, the first thing he goes for. Out of all the things he could have suggested, I don't know, let's exclude certain companies from paying a minimum wage. We will exclude them, and then maybe we can incentivize them to contribute to growing this economy. Frankly, I don't know. Frankly, I don't understand how an ANC government, in the first place, suggested that the minimum wage, so insulting, be put on the table, number one, and then we'll try to reverse it in the next possible opportunity. But yeah, now let's put it aside. We know it's 3.5. We said it's a start, but let's put it aside for now, just to please capital. So capital can come and invest here, because here you can pay workers like monkeys. It's shocking, actually. Because I hear people, merely coddling it. It's shocking that there was a suggestion like that was made. And hopefully, Tito Mboweni at some point will come and talk to us to try and make me understand what on earth. And it's impossible to believe that he didn't consult the president. By the way, the president who championed the same thing of minimum wage. I don't know what PR, let's talk about the minimum wage. He doesn't want to talk about many things. The president, when he was still deputy president, he championed it, not like he championed it everywhere. And now under his watch, his finance minister says, no, reverse this nonsense. But why 1,000 for a month, it doesn't matter. What can you but